Hey Hang Squad, welcome back to Joy of the Hang. As you can see today, Lauren is not with us, but we have the lovely Jessica Papineau here today. Hey Jessica.
Hi.
Say to Lauren, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Sorry you can't be with us, Lauren. But I would love to introduce you to her some other time because she's very much into fashion and she would love to meet you. So I'm going to say a little bit about Jessica. Today's guest, Jessica, is here to remind us that style isn't about trends, it's about power. Jessica Papineau is the founder of CSJ Styling, where she helps women clean out their chaos, reclaim their confidence, and fall back in love with their closets. Whether you're stuck in a rut, hiding behind oversized everything, or still holding onto those someday jeans, Jessica has seen it all, and she's here to help us let it go with grace, humor, and maybe a little tough love. We talk closet makeovers, fashion therapy, and why what you wear is never just about clothes. Let's get into it with the woman who's changing lives, one outfit at a time. And Jessica is so much more than just clothing. We were just talking a little while ago. She's really into empowering women and making big changes in our lives. So, Jessica, first of all, tell me a little bit about what brought you to CSG Styling. What does CSG stand for? CSJ, I keep saying that wrong. Apologies. CSJ.
It stands for Customized Styling by Jessica.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
Yes. So this company started on an idea, on a vision that I had for something that I knew that women really needed and that wasn't being offered in the way that I knew was possible. And after many years of being in, the fashion world, not only, working in boutiques, high-end boutiques and styling women that came into the store and helping them really do the intentional shopping and watching these really beautiful transformations happen right before my eyes. Not only was I doing that, on the side, I had this little side hustle going because women that were working with me were having feeling so good that, and I'm really all about building relationships. They would want me to come to their homes. And this was, locally, even here in Sarasota. So I'd go to work all day in a boutique. And then I would go and meet, these women and really help them curate their wardrobes in such a way that everything in their wardrobe had a purpose. Everything fit them.
Yeah.
Everything made them feel amazing. There wasn't one thing in there that really wasn't feeling good. And so I did a lot of teaching around how to release what's no longer serving them, and then also set them up for success with their packing. Packing is actually one of the biggest things. And then from there,
packing to travel.
Packing for travel.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of the people that I was working with back then were local, but they also, had homes in other places and would travel all over the world. So
and who doesn't overpack?
We all been there and done that. Yes. Yeah. But then, this company was born in 2019, February 14, so Valentine's Day, February 14, 2019, and right before the pandemic hit, and it has just been a wild ride. I mean, I started out schlepping, clothes to people's homes and clearing out their closets, to now is a totally different thing, touching women all over the world. And I have a variety of programs that we have a team. I mean, it's just completely shifted in the best possible way.
I love that. I love that. So tell me a little bit. I was fortunate enough to hear you on some other podcasts and some YouTube videos. Tell me, we're both from Maine, and I was so excited to meet you today because I was telling Jessica before we came on air, I meet very few people in Sarasota who are from Maine. So we are Maine sisters.
Well, or maniacs.
Maniacs. We're maniacs from small towns in Maine. I don't know if there's anything else other than small towns in Maine, but tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
It's a very interesting story. So I always love to tell the story because it does shock people. I mean, you look at what I'm currently doing and what I've done for a number of years. And, people can even look at me on social media and go, oh yeah, she must have like come from fashion, or she must have come from something
New
like
York City.
Yeah, no, not at all. So, I grew up literally backwoods of Maine, off the grid.
Yeah.
No running water. We had a hand pump, no electricity. Kerosene lanterns is what we had to light the house. We had one wood burning stove to heat our small space. We had an outhouse, and in the morning we would have to take out a little pea potty to the outhouse, and that was my job starting at about, I don't know, 6, 7
Great
years
job.
old.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we
builds character, right?
That's oh my gosh,
yes, character.
Yeah, and we had we were vegetarian.
Okay.
And so our food source, for the most part, other than some co-ops and things my parents were in, our food source was from our garden where we harvested the fruits and vegetables.
I actually love that. I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Garden. I miss that actually, because it's hard to garden here in Florida. It's so hot all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always had a garden too growing up.
I didn't love the garden.
You didn't?
No, I honestly, like, growing up the way that I grew up, I felt like I didn't fit in and belong there. I'm not saying it wasn't beautiful and wonderful, but I thought, well, how did I end up here? I just remember thinking that at a very young age, because,
so
and of course, like, clothes were not a big deal to my parents, right?
Right. Yeah.
And my clothes came from, my mom would go to Salvation Army and she would get secondhand clothing for me.
Right. Yeah. And
I remember from as early as like 3 and 4 years old, going in my closet every day. And instead of going out and playing in the garden in the summer, I was literally in my closet, pulling out all the articles of clothing, making a huge mess and being super creative, and putting these articles of clothing on and making all these outfits. And I would look at myself in the mirror, and I'd even pull in like some of my scarves and even her shoes and like a t-shirt kind of thing. I'd even put on like one of her t-shirts, take a scarf and wrap it around like a belt, and put on these shoes and dance around. But it was always in this full-length mirror. And in the mirror, I would look at myself and I would feel beautiful. I would feel like included. I would pretend. This is where my imagination ran wild, and my imagination became my superpower. Yeah. And it was so much fun, but it was definitely not something that my family approved of.
Well, that's interesting though, because you mentioned to me too that you didn't have a television. How long did you not have a TV? How many years? What would you say?
We had, I think it was when I was around 13 or 14, because at that time we had, my stepdad had put in 12-volt batteries, and we could do you remember those little TVs that had the built-in VCR, but the TV itself was like 6 by 9, like it was like a tiny little thing. And so we would only use it to watch movies and put the VCR on and rent a movie. And we all sat on a beanbag chair really close to the TV eating popcorn.
It would be all staticky.
And it was all, and it was like, oh my gosh, we're watching a movie. But when I was younger and before I could read, I would listen to the radio. I loved listening to, I remember my parents, it was National Public Radio. And they had a thing on there for children's stories. And it was like a certain time every day or whatever. And I would sit in this old wooden chair, and we'd have the little radio, and I'd listen to all these stories. But what was really cool was that, and this is where my imagination, I built that muscle even more. I would close my eyes and I would see pictures in front of me. It was like I was listening to the story and seeing the story unfold in front of me. It was so fun.
And that's what I was getting at. I mean, now we're so plugged in, right? We're so electronically dependent that, when you don't have that, you really can kind of flex that imagination muscle, right?
Yeah.
I love that. So that's very cool. Did you have a favorite outfit when you were playing?
Gosh, there were so many. But what's coming to me now, because I am obsessed with belts. I have anyone that has worked with me
You will
or
melt
knows
up.
me or looks on my social media and all my tips and tricks. I remember the jelly belt. That was my favorite thing, because you know how we had the jelly shoes in the 80s?
Yes.
Okay, but they made belts too. And so I had my jelly belt. And it was, for me, it was the accessories that I love the most. So I could take any simple outfit, like I was telling you, the t-shirt, my mom's t-shirt, and put a scarf around it, or, wear, long necklaces and put on the high heels. So to me, it was always the little detail things that made my outfits so much fun.
So I love that, because that is actually the one area I think I struggle, accessorizing. So I'm going to have to talk to you about that. I happen to love shoes. That's my thing. So I'm always in heels. My girlfriends used to joke back in Maine, like I would shovel snow in my heels. And so, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we probably were quite similar then, because, when we were younger, because, Maine is so casual.
Yes.
And it's so kind of like schleppy casual. Like, I mean, it can border on like, you really shouldn't be wearing that.
So the uniform for Maine, think flannel, think LL Bean boots, think jeans, maybe ripped, maybe stained.
Yes.
Maybe, and Wranglers. They weren't like high-end $200 jeans.
No, definitely not. And I do remember like my parents saying, like, we're going out somewhere. This isn't a fashion show. We live in Maine. I'm like, but I want to wear the cute heels to the party.
Do you remember the corduroys too? The age of the corduroy? Were you?
Yeah.
You're 10 years younger than me, but yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Corduroys, and I know. I was always overdressed. Always.
Me too, and I didn't care.
I didn't either. Unapologetically. So in Sarasota, I'm not overdressed anymore. Yeah. Right? It's a little bit of a different culture.
Definitely.
But even when I go back to Maine now, like I had to be, I was in Boston last week, and I'm thinking, okay, wait, I'm going to New England. I cannot be bringing Lily Pulitzer. I will stick out like a sore thumb. Right?
Yeah.
It's so true. It's totally different. So that's exciting though. So you went from, how did you get from that to starting a fashion business? I mean, you told me, I think you said you eventually ended up in Canada.
Yeah, in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
And I remember I heard a story where you had your first job at a mall.
Yes.
At a plus size store.
Yes.
And she's teeny tiny.
Yes, and it was I had worked in Maine. But there's no like fashion right in Maine. So my
J.C. Penney or Sears.
Or what was the other one? Fashion Bug.
Oh, Fashion Bug.
Fashion Bug. But so in Maine, I was like picking strawberries in the summer. I was babysitting. I was like, one summer I worked at a gas station. I mean, there wasn't a lot of choices as far as fashion, but I only had experience dressing myself really. And I would go to the library, the town library, and the smell of like the old libraries in Maine, like it was like, and the books were so old, and I loved the magazines. So I'd go and pull out like the teen magazines, Glamour, Elle, and I actually would like pull pages out. Like I'd be like, copy, pull the page out, and then recreate the outfit at home. And so that was the only experience I had. And so I moved to Winnipeg, Manitoba, and that was probably, it's definitely a pivotal moment in my life where it's so hard. I mean, 16 years old, you have all your friends in one place, you're going to a new country. I mean, it was very, I look back and I'm going to call myself courageous. I mean, it was a lot to do that. But my desire, number one, to be involved in fashion, which I knew I was not going to be doing in Buckfield, Maine. But number two, I wanted to feel included in what I loved. I wanted to be immersed in it, and I wanted to find my way, because I wasn't finding my way where I was. I didn't feel like I belonged. And my dad, my parents had divorced when I was 5. My dad moved to Winnipeg, Manitoba, lived with his mom, and I called him up and I said, can I come and move and live with you? And I didn't have like a super close relationship. But I go and I know you've heard the story,
No,
and it's very long.
Our listeners have not, though. So
okay, I'll tell the story.
If you don't mind, share again.
Yes, I will. So I just remember like getting off the plane and like looking around and going, the whole world is in front of me. I'm going to work retail. Like I just remember getting off the plane and thinking about the mall.
I have made it. I'm going to work retail.
I'm going to work retail. So I researched, and there was this mall that was like the biggest mall in the city, but you had to take 2 city buses to get there. And I had never been on a city bus. And so I put on an old typewriter, I like typed out a resume that was, of course, void of retail experience. So, I mean, I had to put the gas station on there and the picking the strawberries and babysitting and all the things. But I put on my nylons and my black skirt suit. And I had like this little bag that was like almost like a little briefcase bag thing that I thought was so cute. And I had to figure out how to do the bus thing. And so I get on the city bus and I had to transfer buses. I was so scared I was going to get lost. But I remember the bus pulling up, and I had to pull on the thing. I didn't even know about you pull on the thing and it dings. And I was like watching other people. I'm like, what do I do when I have to get off? So I get off at this big mall, and I walk up, and the mall, I mean, it's probably not that big, but to me it was huge because the malls in Maine were so tiny. Yeah. And they were far away from my town. Yeah. And so I walk in and I proceeded to hand out my resume, my old the old typewriter resume to all these stores. And I was not understanding why I wasn't getting the reaction I wanted. Like, oh yeah, we'd love to have you for an interview. Come on, let's go. And so I was asking, but I was getting shut down. And I remember I was on the 2nd floor. I had gone through every store, and there's this little kind of boutique store at the very end, furthest end of the mall in this little corner. And I walk in, and just with as much excitement and enthusiasm, even though my feet were killing me. I mean, I was like sweating, and I'm like trying to fix my hair before I go in. And I walk in, and I walk straight into this woman, and I said, hi, are you the manager? And she said, yes. And I said, I just want to work here. I just love fashion. I've only dressed myself, but I really want to dress other women. I know I'll be great. Yeah. And she hired me. And I thought, okay, here I am. Here's my opportunity. I made it. And then I know you know the rest of the story, but my first day going in and so excited, and I really didn't realize, I didn't have the self-awareness to know, okay, I'm really long and lean and skinny. And number one, I didn't realize I had been hired at a plus size clothing store. So the women are plus size and I'm scrawny and skinny, which didn't bother me at all. I was excited. I was still just as excited, but I didn't know that these women, because it was a women's suiting store, like these are high level executive women that are shopping there, and they're coming in and seeming like, like a really big deal. I was intimidated. But what I didn't realize is that they also had some body insecurities. They're looking at me going, how is this scrawny kid going to dress me?
Right. They were intimidated by you.
They probably were. I didn't know. I had no awareness of that.
Of course not. You were 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
And so I would watch them walk in, not want my help, put their hand up when I would ask them if they needed help. And it was really hurting my feelings. I'm like, I'm where I thought I belonged, and nobody wants me is how I felt. But I would watch these women. It was very interesting. In my mind, I was dressing them with all the clothes. Like I wasn't physically doing it, but I was dressing them with the clothes. And I would watch them walk around the store, frantically grab all these things, go in the fitting room, come out, look in the mirror, and then they didn't look confident anymore. They would look like, I could see them look at areas of their body almost in disgust. Mm. And their body language would change, and they'd be hunched over and they'd look upset. And I thought, what is happening? They're beautiful. They're just not putting on the right thing. I remember thinking that. And they go back in the fitting room and come out with their clothes on and leave the store. And do you want me to tell you the Kathy story, or should I start?
I definitely want to hear the Kathy story. But what I've heard so far is, what I'm impressed by, first of all, is that you would take no for an answer, and you kept going to every single store. And obviously you are the type of woman who is very motivated and driven. And I have a ton of respect for that. So, and the fact that you were so young and you just wanted to make it happen. So, I'm hearing that, but I'm also hearing like, I love that you had the awareness to notice how the women were changing at such a young age to women based on the clothing that you're putting on and
Yeah.
how that makes you feel, because it's so true. When you put something on that doesn't make you comfortable or makes you feel,
Yeah.
either maybe it made them feel bigger than they were, or whatever it was that made them feel
Yeah.
insecure and just not beautiful.
Yeah.
Like that is such an important thing, just to have confidence, right? And
Yeah.
it people don't realize what you wear is important. It's a reflection of who you are.
Yeah.
And I kind of believe in the saying that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And so for me, it's like I always want to go out looking my best.
Yeah.
So, but I do want to veer off just a second, because we have talked a lot about Maine, and I just want to shout out to Maine girls, like we love you. And we're not dissing the fact that a lot of people in Maine are casual. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We just like to dress up a little bit and have some fun with our clothes. But anyway, I do want to hear the Kathy story. So tell me, you had a customer walk in. I know you said you had a customer walk in this one day that kind of changed everything for you.
Yeah.
So tell me how that happened.
And that day, I remember, getting to work that day and thinking to myself, I'm not giving up on this. And so what I've been doing, or how I've been approaching this, hasn't been working. I'm going to have to figure out another way to get the yes, so that I can do what I really want to do, which is dress these women. So this woman walks in, and much like every other woman, when I asked her if she wanted help, she put her hand up and did the same thing.
Nope.
No, thank you. I'm good. I got this.
Yeah,
Nope.
exactly.
And she did the same thing as I had seen before. She grabbed all the clothes, came out of the fitting room, looked in the mirror, and I could see her doing the same thing. And it was almost like she wasn't even seeing her whole body. It was like she was focusing on these certain areas, and left everything in the fitting room, and she goes to walk out. And I said, "Excuse me." And she turns around, and I said, "I'm Jessica. What's your name?" And she said, "Kathy." And I said, I noticed that you came in. This is the furthest store in the mall. Like, this is the furthest mall in the city. And you came all the way here. You must have had a purpose. And I know you said you didn't want my help, but clearly it didn't work out for you. At this point, what do you have to lose? Like, why don't you give me a try? And she said, "Well, I mean, I guess, all right, I guess I'll come back in." And
that was brave. Like, were you nervous making that?
Oh,
like,
I'm sure my face was beat. When you like say, "Excuse me," like you take the action before you think about it. I remember my face went red when I heard myself say the words. Like, oh, I just did that. I'm in it now. Yeah.
What if she said, "Get lost"? Yeah. But good. So she was open.
So she was open, and she came back into the store, and I asked her what she was needing, and she had a big conference coming up, and she really wanted an outfit to make her feel really powerful, and she was going to be presenting. And so I went around, and I didn't overwhelm her. I didn't grab a lot of things. I just knew, and we'll go back to me really understanding this accessory thing. And now I call it cake and icing. Back then, I don't think I had a name for it, but I picked out a bunch of basic things that I knew the fit and the fabric was really good. And I put them in the fitting room. And so I told her to put on the pants first. It was like a trouser pant and then like a little matching shell thing that would go with it. She still
remembers it.
Oh, I remember it. No, this is, I really believe that pivotal moments are things that happen in our life, transformations can happen in these moments, and they stay with us. And so she comes out of the fitting room in the fitted navy pants and the fitted shell, and she went to peek at herself, and she goes, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "Wait, just wait. Don't even look yet, Kathy. Just give me a moment. We're going to do the whole thing." I said, "First, we're going to tuck in the shell." And she goes, "Oh my gosh." And we're going to put a belt on. And so I put a belt on her. I put some shoes on her. This long duster sweater I put on her, and it was open and just kind of cascaded down her body. Some long necklaces, and then this scarf that we just kind of laid, and it just kind of cascaded down, where the...
So was it all solid? Did you do a monochrome look? Or
I did. Well, I love doing a monochromatic look with the cake. So the cake is like the top and with the bottom.
Okay.
So that was all navy. And then it was like a little, the knit, God, I can't remember the exact color.
Okay.
It was kind of woven. So it had a little navy and a little bit of white, kind of heathered.
Okay.
And then when I remember things like that. I remember outfits. And then the scarf was a floral print. So that's where I kind of brought in a little bit more color, and it had navy, but it had pink and blue, like all these different colors. And it was really beautiful. And I put it on her, and I moved my body from in front of her. So I was like peeking in, watching her look at herself. And there was a shift that happened where she started at her feet, like she was looking at her feet, and she kind of like scanned all the way up her body and then kind of went back down and landed with her eyes. It wasn't the same thing. She wasn't focusing. She didn't like land where she was before. I was watching her disgusted. This time, her whole face lit up and her eyes filled with tears. And she turned to me and she said, I have never in my life felt this way. I actually feel pretty. In fact, I feel beautiful. Like, you've got something, kid. Like, you've got something special. And that was my moment. I knew in my soul that my gift to give the world was teaching women how to discover their beauty and really step into this full power, because I never got to hear the end of what happened with Kathy and her presentation. But for so many years, I've worked with so many women. I get to hear the story after we do that thing, and really how these big shifts happen, like their frequency rises. It's, they begin to look at themselves and really connect with their inner gifts. And when they do that and they allow them to kind of flow through them, when they're stepping out the door, they're sitting down to do their Zoom meeting with a client, they are fully showing up and allowing that to kind of go through them, and their frequency rises. It's one thing to say, yes, from a visual standpoint, image is very important. People make a judgment within 7 seconds.
Yeah.
But there's another piece to it, is that frequency and that raising of that frequency, because it's magnetic.
Right.
It really draws you attract
right.
others that really need you, that you're meant to serve.
I agree with that, because I notice when I'm walking at a higher energy, higher level, people come up to me, or they'll, compliment me, or just want to engage in some way. And I feel the same way if I see somebody. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. That's great. Well, I love that story. So thank you for sharing it again.
I've shared it many times.
All right, I'm going to ask you hopefully some new questions.
Yeah.
All right, be honest. How often do people tell you, I have nothing to wear, while standing in front of a packed closet?
Oh, yeah. It's always, I do many calls with women that are very curious about what the experience is like working with me. And then, so the thing that I hear all the time is, I have a closet full of clothes and I have nothing to wear. It is definitely a thing.
Yeah. And why is that, though? Because things are outdated. It's time to edit the closet. Why do people feel
There's so many reasons why. I guess we can just start with, the fashion world and how things are really set up, from marketing and stores and all of this. But, really as women and as human beings, we buy on emotion, right? We buy like that shiny, pretty thing that's going to make us feel good in the moment. And I know the women that are listening, I'm sure the women that are listening probably love fashion, because that's who you are. So, I'm sure those women have had that moment of walking in a store and seeing this like beautiful top on a mannequin and going, I need that. I want that. I'm going to buy that. And they buy it. And then there's this adrenaline rush. It's a high. And they've done research on this. It's a 20-minute high.
Ooh, okay.
Then it goes away. It's fleeting. So then you get home, you take the top, you put it, you hang it up, right? And then it's date night and you go, I'm going to wear that new black. Okay. And you go in your closet and you put it on and you go, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I going to wear this with?
Exactly. I don't have any bottoms.
I don't have any bottoms. And I don't know if it actually looks good on me. I was looking, the clerk or the salesperson said it looked good, and I was in their mirrors, and they had the mirror tilted in such a way, and now I'm looking in my mirror and it's awful. Now what am I going to do? Well, most people leave it in their closet and they do nothing. Yeah. And then they do the rinse and repeat, the same thing over and over again. Most women have about 70% novelty items, such as what I'm speaking about, this shiny, pretty thing that they love. Yeah. And they do not have enough of the basic pieces that are not exciting to wear or to buy. Sorry, not exciting to buy. Yeah. You know, it really needs to flip. Women also, many of them do not understand fit and fabric and the importance of really nice fabric. As women, I see so many women, the women that I'm working with are professionals. They're high level, high achieving women. And sometimes, they invest in themselves in all kinds of areas. They invest in their family. Yes. They want to be the best version of themselves in every area. They want success. So they understand, if it's their home life, if their child needs a tutor, they're getting their kid a tutor. Right. Their
hockey equipment,
all the things,
things, right?
But they're even in this woman that I serve is investing in herself. She'll get a business coach. I mean, she'll take courses outside of what she's doing because she's wants to level up in her business. She's striving, but then there's this missing piece where she doesn't completely feel that she's worthy of fully investing in her wardrobe. It's just astonishing to me, even women that seem to have it all, and maybe they even spend, some of their money on designer shoes and handbags, but they'll have t-shirts and like jeans that they've had for 25 years that don't fit them, that are that they're actually still even wearing this old t-shirt around the house because no one's going to see them. So why? I'm going to save my clothes. It's almost as if it's a little bit of a worthiness.
Yeah. You've got me thinking about my own closet, my skinny jeans that apparently have now. I just got into skinny jeans, and now I'm finding out they're out of style.
No, they're not.
They're not out of style.
No, they're not out of style.
Good.
Skinny. This is how the fashion world confuses us.
Yes, I'm very confused.
Okay, so they're not calling it a skinny jean anymore. It is called a cigarette leg.
Oh, okay.
So I buy, because I have a full inventory, as you're in my space right now, getting to see my studio. And so I've already made my buys for fall and for winter. Do you know that the cigarette jean, which is much like a skinny jean, also known as, it's bad. I mean, I'm sure you saw last fall and winter, there were so many of the tall boots coming back, the high boots. Okay, so we want to wear them with more than just dresses, and we don't want to wear them under our jeans. So we need the cigarette jean back. Now, that doesn't mean to go back in your closet and start wearing the skinny jeans you had. It means that there's something better.
Oh, okay.
There's something better because fabric changes. They're constantly making the fabrics better. And oftentimes, too, women are hanging on to things in their wardrobe that are part of their past. And I'm going to get really hokey here.
Okay.
I believe that clothes do have frequency as well. I do believe this. And, as the high-performing woman, as the woman that desires to really create impact, be the best version of herself in every area, and she's striving and she's pushing to be this woman she wants to be, and her clothes that she wore even a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, that is the woman that she once was. So as we're stepping into these bigger new versions of ourselves, what we once wore isn't the same anymore. It's different. So when this is why also, when you put things on and you're trying on the outfit that you bought a couple of years ago and you're like, I liked it then. Now why am I looking at myself and saying it's just good enough? It's because you've evolved. Okay. So those are some things to think about too. And then I have my 3 Fs.
Okay.
Fit, fabric, fashion. So I talked a little bit about fabric, the importance of fabric. Over time, fabrics break down, and we also need to be very cognizant of feeling things before we buy them. If they feel icky, if they don't feel like luxury, well, and maybe we will. I see women that do, but they're like uncomfortable in it, right? And what are you telling yourself when you're not buying good fabrics? You're telling yourself that you're not worthy of wearing something better. And as, because again, I'm working with this high performing woman. She's been doing big things. She deserves to feel luxurious. Even if she's sitting watching TV, let's put on some athleisure that feels buttery soft. Why not? We deserve that. But fabrics do break down.
So quality instead of quantity.
Yes, but I say this all the time, but what's really interesting about it is, yes, that's true, but it's almost like this, you still have to because the women that I work with are continuously getting new things from me. They just are, because usually they're starting from ground zero. They're completely reinventing themselves, releasing their whole wardrobe as their past, because they're stepping into way bigger versions. But then they're continuing to buy the little things here and there every season to reinvent what we've done before. And then there's a shedding, there's a releasing of the things from the years prior, and it's just kind of, and then it can be donated, it can be consigned, and it feels so good. And I know so many women that do give to organizations, like locally here in town, we've got treasure chest. Yeah, but we also have treasures.
Oh, treasures. Okay.
Yeah. A treasure chest, the Spark, and I've worked with them before, but how good does it feel when someone that's maybe an up and coming woman, or maybe she's had something really hard happen and she's trying to, find her version of herself, that she can go in and actually get that piece. And then that piece has really good frequency from when you wore it back in the day.
Oh, I love that. So fit, fashion, and fabric.
Fabric. So the fit of the clothing being, making sure that it fits your body properly. A lot of people are wearing clothes that are oversized because they are hiding. They're hiding those areas that I was talking about, that, they're looking in the mirror, they don't like something about their body and they cover it up. But oftentimes when you do that, you're actually magnifying the area.
Okay.
And you're telling other people that you don't feel good in your body. Yeah. And so when you can find a fit that skims your body and highlights the best parts of you, you can begin to be like a whole body, a whole person. And I know you actually, and I'm going to bring this person up because she is fine me telling the story.
Okay.
A podcast that I was on.
Yes.
Okay, Christina.
Okay. I can't wait. So I have a meeting with Christina tomorrow because I heard her on your new podcast, which we have to talk about too. But Jessica just started a new podcast as well, the Jessica Papineau Show.
Yes, the Jessica Papineau Show, living aligned, styled with purpose, and way more than fashion. I know you stop me if I'm telling too many stories. No, I'm the biggest storyteller ever. Christina, when I started to work with her, and she is powerful. So I just can't wait for you to meet her. She's been transformational for me in my life, and I've been transformational for her in hers. And literally when I met her, she was wearing the oversized tops. She is beautiful. She is stunning with this long dark hair, and she knows she shows up and she's pretty, and with this beautiful hair and these beautiful eyes. And she was wearing these oversized tops and slimmer jeans, or she would wear shorter things because she liked her legs. Yeah. And she was good with the upper part of her body, but was hiding her midsection. And when we first started working together, and I do style boxes, I shipped her a style box, and her very first box that she opened, because I curate it for my clients. So I've gotten to see, what are they wearing on a regular basis? What slight adjustments do we need to make? And me knowing that she was doing this covering up thing, I wanted to stretch her a little bit. I wanted to put her outside her comfort zone a bit so that she could see how fit and fabric can make all the difference. Well, it went awry. It did not. It did not in the beginning. So she puts on these fitted jeans, high rise, and I told her to tuck in her top that I had given her. Yeah. Tucks in the top, puts on the belt, because I told her she had to put on a belt. And she literally sends me a picture of herself sitting down, and from the view of, look at my stomach. She said, I can't do this.
Oh.
And she sent me a voice memo.
Oh.
And because Christina is very like in tune with herself, and she'll be vulnerable, and she's okay with that.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to, like, I've seen these things happen before, but nobody's ever to that extent.
Yeah.
So I send her a voice memo back. And I said, Christina, what I'd like you to do is, I know you already have the outfit on. I know you already did. She does podcasts.
Yeah.
She had already done her podcast, first one for the day. And I said, I don't want you to change today. I want you to sit and I want you to wear this outfit for the entire day. And then I want you to reassess in 24 hours and let me know how you feel. And she just liked it. And I thought, oh gosh, oh no, what's going to happen here? I literally, the next day, I'm sitting at my desk, haven't heard from her yet. And my phone dings and I pick it up. And I had been tagged in a story. Ooh. And I open up the story and it's Christina. And she's wearing her next outfit with another pair of like fitted high-rise pants, another shirt that I had put in her box with it tucked in, the belt. And she had this like sexy swagger thing going on, hand on the hip, took a selfie picture and said, I feel fabulous. Thank you, at the Jessica Papineau. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? But the reason why I'm telling you this story, because we talked about it later, and that was kind of the opening of the door for her. And it was very stretchy for her. And she felt exposed. And sometimes, this is what I tell people too, it's really important to get curious and try things that we wouldn't normally do. So if you normally wear a big oversized something, because maybe you don't like your hips or maybe you don't like your butt or whatever it is, once you be curious about trying something that's a little more fitted, but being really intentional about what it is and being cognizant of the fits and of the fabric.
I can empathize with Christina though, because I can understand where if you're trying to make that change and try something different, when you put yourself in something that's unfamiliar or seemingly uncomfortable, all you do is focus on the areas you think are your flaws. Yeah. Right? That's where your face immediately, your eyes go to that muffin top or whatever it is you think is wrong with you, right? And I hate that word, wrong with you, but we all are so judgmental. We're so hard on ourselves that, I have a space between my bottom teeth that drives me crazy, and it's all I can ever see on a video. And probably nobody else would notice it.
I would never see that.
Yeah, so my eye goes right there, right?
Yeah.
So it's so funny, and now that everybody else knows, they'll be looking at it. But I can understand though when you're trying to put somebody in something different, their eye is going to go to. That's the problem. That's the spot I hate, right? So
this is what she told me.
Emphasizing it.
Yeah. So when I called her out, and I called her and I said, what is going on? Yesterday was a totally different story. And she said, you know what? I felt so exposed. Yes. And I had to look at myself, and I hadn't looked at myself in such a long time. Wow. And she said, but she's done so much work. I mean, she's super successful. And she said, but I got up and I put on the next thing. And when I looked in the mirror, it did feel different. Like I still feel exposed, but I started to see that I wasn't just sexy legs and a pretty face and great hair. Like I am like this. I am a beautiful woman. And, it's really taking these, because sometimes you're talking about like being uncomfortable and, as high performing women and women that want to do big things, when we elevate ourselves and we do new things, it's going to feel stretchy. It's going to feel hard. We're going to feel exposed. And that's the indication. And she knew this because she coaches women on this. She knew that was her indicator to lean in and be curious. Yeah. So this consistent action of getting up, I call it getting up, suiting up, and showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not, is so critical, because when you're looking at yourself in the mirror before you start your day, you want to be able to connect to your insides, your internal self, so that you can allow that to come through with every client you work with every relationship you have. I talk to women all the time about when we first started working together to after a couple months, they're having more sex with their husbands
because they feel sexier,
because they feel sexy, and they're actually
Yeah.
fully present when they're having date night. They're not thinking, oh, I don't want to be here because I don't feel good in my outfit.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. And that's a really good result. More sex with your husband is not a bad thing. That's a really good thing. But anyway, I want to talk more about, I know that you're a stylist and you love clothing and fashion, but tell me more about the women empowerment programs that you do and the speaking that you do, and why living your purpose is so important. Tell me more about that journey for you.
So I would say, the woman, because I can't serve every single woman one-on-one. I'm one person, right? And so I got to a point in the business where I was like, I need to, expand what it is that I'm doing. And so I brought on some new programs, one of them being a mastermind. And once I started the mastermind, because I had started to work with women one-on-one that were doing a lot of keynoting, book writers, high-level coaches, like leadership coaches that were in this women empowerment world. And there was something that I noticed that was really intriguing to me and that was really deepening my ability to help them. And it was that they were up for change. They desired change, and they were hiring me. Yes, they wanted to have this curated wardrobe, make it easy for themselves. They didn't want to have to think about what they were going to pack, all the things. But they also were willing to be vulnerable, and they were willing to listen to me and stretch themselves, much like I was describing of Christina. And so what that was allowing me to do was do better work, more work with them. And I would see this gap between where they were in their business, even how much money they were making getting on the stage, to increasing, doubling their income, 10xing their income. The stages were bigger, and just there were big transformations that were happening. And when this happened, I started to grow too and learn from them.
Yes.
And I started to go to these events of empowerment, and my mind was blown. I love this space. I've always loved the self-development world.
Me too. My dream is to do a TED Talk. That's my dream. I'd love to be on a TED Talk stage.
Well, you're going to do it.
Oh,
I know you're going to do it.
I would love to.
Oh, I know. I mean, I know so many women now that have done TED Talks, women that have done TED Talks that still have difficulty getting on social media and doing just a 30-second story, because this is not easy stuff. And that's the other thing I learned being in this world, because I'm around some women that are, really high up there in the keynote speaking world of they get paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to come in and speak. Yeah. And they have they're nervous too.
But I think that's wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
So the mastermind.
So the mastermind was born out of all these women that I was meeting. And one of my other superpowers, aside from the imagination, is my ability to network and build relationships by networking. And so once I started meeting these women, I wanted to introduce them to one another. Because women that I'm working with are all over the US. I have a couple of them are into Canada as well. And these women they wanted to do, podcast trades and get on bigger stages. And I knew women that were doing these things, but coming at it maybe from a different point, or had a different network that they could introduce them to. And it really is all about visibility. So I was thinking, working with a woman for 3 months. And then after 3 months, she's like, I've leveled up. Now I need to meet my avatar, because my avatar client, who I'm going to serve. And so other women could introduce them. So I've created this really beautiful container, safe space with these high-level women that desire to up-level their businesses. So it's more than fashion. So in that space, we have tons of fashion resources in there. I have a digital course on how to edit and release the pieces that are no longer serving you. I do live demonstrations on, when seasons change and how to reimagine your wardrobe. But then we also bring in guest expert speakers that speak on a variety of topics, teach us their frameworks for success in different areas.
So do you do this via Zoom or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do it via Zoom. Right now we have an app that all of this is housed in, because some people come for the live webinar, and they're there in person, which is wonderful. Our women are very engaged. We do like the live Q&A at the end of, having the guest experts. And then people are women that maybe had meetings during that time or whatever, they can go back and watch it the next day in the recording in the app that we have.
Yeah.
But then also in this space, I've made some shifts, because I always ask, like, what do you women need right now? And so what they're saying is they want more visibility. They're really wanting to be on these bigger stages.
Yeah.
They're needing to get more clients and that sort of thing. So we're doing a lot of focus on our networking events, where I moderate them. Women go around the room and kind of talk about, something, number one, they feel they could pour into the group, something that they're working on or learning, but then they talk about a need they have. And we rally around her to give her ideas, but then also create strategic partnerships within the community, such as, like I was saying, podcast trades. The women in the community right now have booked on each other's Instagrams to do Instagram lives to get more visibility from the other audiences.
That's great.
And so my mastermind is called Align to Rise. And it's my heart and soul, because my word of the year actually is rise.
Love that.
And I truly believe that when you get like-minded women that are aligned in their thinking, that want to create impact, that have the knowing that they have this purpose and this gift to share with the world, when you get those types of women in one space that have this expansive thinking and that also desire to lift other women up, this is where true innovation happens. This is where, movement, I believe it's a movement, this is where movements happen. This is where real positive growth and change in this world can happen. And so that's really what this space is all about.
Are you interested in new members that you're trying to
Yes.
get? Okay. How many members do you have now? What would you say?
I think we have around 30, something like that.
Sounds great.
Now, what was interesting about building the mastermind, I had sometimes what you think you're going to do and what actually happens is different.
Yeah.
And, I think one of the reasons why we've been so successful in building this business is that I'm listening to what she wants and what she needs. And so initially I thought it was going to be more on the fashion side and doing lots of demonstrations on, all the fashion stuff. But she wants more than that. She wants these deep connections. And so that's really what we're providing more of now. And so initially when we went to launch, we had this whole launch plan.
Yeah. And
it was on the website. You could go on my website and click and buy into the mastermind and do the whole thing. I said, never mind. I'm just kidding. Take it down. And I mean, we had invested in this. And I had this knowing, and this is why as women, we have to trust our intuition and our gut on things. I had this knowing that it wasn't right, that I really needed to build a foundation and a safe container where these women could feel vulnerable in that space and know that they would be held in that space in a very sacred way. And I couldn't do that if I just put it out there for everybody, because not everyone is the right fit for that space.
Right.
We definitely have women that are at different stages in their development of what they're building. Right. Some are in the beginning, some have done the thing, they're doing the thing again. But the consistent, across the board, each of these women, they all want to grow and learn. They all want to support each other, and they may have some, we all have insecurities and things. They definitely have all that, but they're willing to share them, and they're willing to share that vulnerability, but they're also celebrating one another.
Yeah, which I love. It's so nice to be in an environment where women are lifting each other up instead of putting each other down. Yeah. So that's something we talk about a lot on our podcast, is it's such a shame when women can't support one another. It's so much more powerful when we're all building each other up and not talking about each other behind each other's backs, and just being really, really positive, because it's so much more powerful and wonderful. So if people want to get involved, how would they contact you to get involved?
Well, you can go to my website, CSJ Styling. Yes, csjstyling.com. I have a power presence quiz. This is where I think, whether if anyone that's listening is like, I'm really curious about the mastermind, and I also want to know about the fashion and what is, I want to know all the things, because there's actually a lot of branding. There's also a lot of personal branding that I'm doing. So I know we haven't touched on that. Yeah, it's a whole, we're stepping in to a kind of a new programs with that. But if you're curious, if you go on and take this power presence quiz, which we have been really, it took us a long time to create it. And it's really a quiz to kind of figure out, where are you in your presence? Like, do you desire more visibility? Are you not fully showing up? Like, it really gives you pause to think about where you're at in that process. And then once you take this quiz, you can kind of see where those needs are. And I also offer a free styling call. So, and I can share that link with you if you like, but anyone that has interest and would like to know more about the programs and what it is that we're doing, because we also do have the one-on-one, which is really mind-blowing. I have 21 women there right now.
Oh,
and we have an additional app for them that we create their outfits. They have a virtual closet. So this is how I'm able to work with people virtually.
Wow.
And I can actually create outfits out of the pieces, not only that they buy from me, but if they have some things in their wardrobe too, we can use those.
Oh my God, this is so cool.
Oh yeah, it goes beyond that.
I love this. Now you also have an affiliate program. Tell me about that, right?
I do. This is something new. So for other women that are, it's not
kind of a referral program.
It's basically, it's a refer. Yeah, it basically is. So, if anyone that really is in the space of desiring to lift other women up, they have visibility out there, they have a strong presence on social media, or they have, podcast or whatever, and they see that my programs are in alignment with their vision for what they're building.
Yeah.
That's a really great place for them to say, okay, I'm going to go, because you can go on my website and fill out the form, and I'll reach out to you and we can chat about it and see if it's the right fit. Because of course we want to make sure that it is in complete alignment. I do everything in that way. I've learned how to trust myself and trust my intuition through Christina. Actually really has guided me through that process. But not everyone is the right fit for that part, because it's not like an influencer type of program. It's more for the woman that's, desiring to lift other women up. That makes sense. That
makes sense.
Yeah.
So back to fashion, I have a question.
Yes.
So Lauren and I both like to dress a little bit crazy sometimes.
Yes.
And I wouldn't call either of us conservative. We like to have fun with fashion. As a matter of fact, that's kind of our tagline.
I love it.
So how would you handle, like she, for example, loves to wear her trucker hats.
Yeah.
And big sunglasses.
Yeah.
She's really funky and fun. And she'll often wear the onesies, you know what I'm talking about, like that fitted jumpsuits.
Oh, I love jumpsuits.
So she's got a beautiful body, so she could definitely pull that off.
Yeah.
I can be I like bright colors, obviously. I like to have some fun, but I can be a little more understated, I would say, than Lauren. So how do you handle, do you just go in by individual? And
I am
I never wear jeans. Jeans are not, I have them, but I hardly ever wear them.
I go based on, talking about intuition, I go based on my intuition when it comes to this. So the process that I use when I begin working with a client is I'm first really discovering really like who she is. Like I need to know her on that deep level of what she's building or what she's stepping into. But then I ask her to send me photos of the clothes that she's currently wearing. And typically, and I don't know if this is you may wear all your clothes, but most women only wear about 15% of what they own. Yeah. And they do a rotation. And then I also hear a lot of women say that, and I don't think this is you, but a lot of women, I hear them say, I'm wearing what I feel is just good enough because I don't really know what I'm doing or how to put it together. But once I can see what it is she's wearing on a regular basis, so maybe it's a rotation of maybe it's like 6 outfits I get to see, I really can discover, I'll know that she doesn't wear jeans. I'll know if she's okay being a little wild with her fashion. I'll get that. So I don't ever want to change anyone's style. It's a matter of discovering and kind of going deeper into it almost, and a refinement. Because there's a lot of things that women don't know, And I hear people say, well, I don't wear jeans and I'll never wear jeans. Well, I see that as an opportunity because I like to be curious about what type of denim could work for you that you may love, but you haven't tried it yet.
Right. I like jeans. It's just in Florida, I find them too hot. And I don't like anything that's too tight. So anyway. And I don't like anything on my neck. That drives me crazy too. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what you would come up with Lauren and I.
That sounds like fun.
How do you feel about designer names? How do you feel about the Chanels and this is another thing, being from Maine, when it came down here and everyone's carrying a Louis Vuitton bag, I was like, what is that? Coach. And I just, what the ones they had at the Freeport outlets. But
I used to go there once a year with my grandmother.
By LL Bean, they had all the outlets there. But yes, I had I was like, Louis who? Who is that? But anyway, I've become more familiar with designer brands. So what is it worth spending the money on?
I think that it depends on, we can talk designer brands and then we can talk, fit and fabric. So they're designer brands and I'll just use denim as an example. Typically higher end designers are going to have more quality fabrics. I mean, that's just a given. Not to say all the time, but they are. Then we have high end designers when we're looking at Chanel and and Gucci and Prada and all that, Dolce & Gabbana, all the things, right? And that is an even higher price point. So my price point is a little less than Chanel, but we have, I don't recommend doing anything that's super, super, super low end in that the fabric isn't good. And that's where we can get into quality over quantity. If someone is just starting out in their business and they only can do a certain amount, then it's really important to still get some type of a designer that has great fit and fabric. I truly believe that. I don't care if you just buy one pair of designer jeans and invest in a nice t-shirt that feels good on your body. But when we start talking about Chanel and these higher end brands that are just luxury, what I say to that is you certainly do not have to. You don't have to invest in that. It has to do with how you feel about it. I have certain women that I work with that, I have handbags too, not Chanel, but they will get a few of my little handbags here and there, but then they also love the luxury of a Chanel bag or of a YSL handbag. And to them, it's a way of rewarding themselves and it's the way it makes them feel. It's really not about what other people think. I know some people do buy things like that because they want people to look at the status, but that's not the women that I'm working with. That's not what they're saying. And that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing them take the time to, they had a big presentation and they were super successful at it, or they had an amazing year in business and they took a piece of what they got and they went and got themselves.
Yeah, it's a reward.
It's a reward
for the hard work.
Yes, and it makes them feel good. So I say if it makes you feel good, then go that high end and wear that really high end designer. But it does have to do with fit and fabric as well.
But with a handbag, like you said, I mean, that's something that's timeless and you'll have it forever.
Exactly.
The fit and fabric it's not part of the equation with that.
It's not. And same with shoes for the most part too. I mean, our shoe size pretty much stays the same.
Well,
but
fit is important.
Fit is definitely important. But I mean, our shoe size may change a little bit as we get older, our feet grow a bit. But yeah, I mean, the designer bags, and I love the word reimagine. We talked about imagine. I love the word reimagine because perhaps you wore your Chanel bag in the 80s and you wore it in a certain way with a certain suit. And now, okay, so now you're in Florida, and let's take that like Chanel look, but then let's juxtapose it with this like Florida fun, flirty fashion. Like I just love that. I love in handbags, in designer handbag, like you said, it's not going to go out of style. Right. You're going to have it for years, but you can reimagine it and restyle it in different ways.
Exactly. How do you feel about thrifting?
It's funny that you asked that. It's a thing amongst the younger ones right now. So I have two sons. Yeah. My younger one is super into it, and he's like a fashion guy. I would say it's not super like my thing. Yeah. However, if you find something in a, like a consignment store or whatever, that maybe it is like this really great piece, but it was part of like someone's past life of what they did in the past, and it's not serving them, but it serves you. Yeah. And it's, say it is a Chanel bag or something really exciting like that. Yeah. Then I say go for it.
I love thrifting, and the good for me, it's about the joy of the hunt, but it's also like sometimes you find things with tags still on them, so there might be something minor wrong. What's the most common fashion crime your clients are committing, and how do you gently or not so gently fix it?
Oh gosh, there are quite a few. I get them to buy in and commit with me when they start that they're going to stop buying all the time and stop buying all the time and really take the time, because you can work with me one-on-one for either 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. And when you commit to working with me, you're not going out and shopping other places. I'm getting whatever you need. Okay. And I have it at my disposal here in my studio. Yeah. But the reason why I say that is the mistake that can happen, and I've had women go rogue on me. And they tell me, Jessica, they're like, they're like,
I'm not posting pictures on social for you to see.
Well, no, they're making mistakes. So they're doing that thing that I told you about, which is like making that impulsive purchase to fill that feeling, to get that high feeling. If maybe they had a bad day or whatever, and then they take it home and they feel worse because then it doesn't work. So there's a strategy to purchasing clothing. And like I was mentioning, the 70% of your clothes really should be the cake or the basic core, and then bring in that 30%. So, and when I'm looking at someone's wardrobe and I'm seeing their virtual closet on their app that I have, and I'm looking to see if you want to buy something, what can we strategically add that's going to work back with everything that we're doing that just makes sense? That's not just to buy it, just to buy it.
Right. And so when you talk about basics, I'm imagining you mean maybe a nice pair of black pants. I'm imagining maybe a nice white blouse. Yes. Down blouse. I'm imagining comfortable pair of black shoes.
Yes. There's certain things that are, I could just kind of go, you started the list and we can kind of go more into that. And then, we can add shoes to that too, which is like your basic, pointed toe, black pump and nude pump. Everybody needs that in their wardrobe. And then, your heel that's like your strappy, kind of dressier heel that's black or nude, or we can bring metallics or right now.
Gold and silver.
I know, gold and silver, like that really, gold and silver is like doing a nude. It's a neutral, goes with everything. Yeah. And then having that perfect black, suit that can be mixed and matched with a variety of things. The blazer could then go back with a pair of jeans, and having that basic pair of denim that's a great high rise, I want to say straight cut, just classic medium wash that, you could wear during the day, you could wear at night. But when you're being strategic about bringing in these basic pieces, it has to make sense for your lifestyle and where your life is headed. So if you are, say, at this season of life, a stay-at-home mom, you're certainly not going to need to go and get yourself a suit. Right. That's not the season of life you're in. You can do that, once you do go back to work, if you desire to do that. But perhaps you want to invest differently.
You get nice athleisure wear.
Yes.
If you're a mom. Okay.
Yes. And it really is, the other thing is the in-between. that in between. So I find women can either on their own could do the black suit and the blouse and the pointed toe pumps, or they could do the workout outfit, but then they don't know anything in between how to do it.
Right. Yeah. I would agree with that. That's probably true. That's probably true. What is the one accessory besides a belt?
Oh,
You cannot say belt.
Oh, okay, I already.
That you think makes an outfit?
Oh, geez, this is a little bit difficult for me, but I'm going to say one thing for myself that I cannot go without. Like I cannot, even if it's like a small version of it, I have to wear earrings.
Yeah, that's my thing too.
I have to wear earrings. And I mean, sometimes I'm not even wearing big earrings, but I feel completely naked if I'm not. I think part of that has to do with my grandmother. Because
she always had earrings.
Yeah, like she said, Jessica, you can't answer the door if you don't have your face on and you didn't put your earrings in. Like,
okay.
So I have this thought about that, and your earrings, like to me, that's like your last little finishing touch, like of what that icing is on the cake, and it's near your face.
Right. Exactly. I know it highlights. Yeah, I think earrings, and I am of the philosophy that less is more with my accessories. I have friends though that believe more is more. That's okay too, because it works for them. Right. But for me, I don't wear a ton of accessories. I usually just have my wedding ring on and that's about it. And earrings. So, but I did put on a necklace today because I was coming to see you.
You wanted to impress me. Well, you've impressed me.
Yeah, I would wear a necklace probably. I am so quick to go. Let's just get out. But anyway, we end every episode, and I hate to end this one because we're having so much fun, and I really enjoyed getting to know you. And I think you have a lot to share with our listeners. But that being said, we have to come to a close. And I started by telling you that we end every episode asking, what kind of advice would you give your younger self?
Oh my gosh, this is such a...
we're bringing young Jessica into
the room. This is such a beautiful question. And I think this also goes along with my why of why I do what I do. But I would tell her to just, it's okay to be who you are and to always be who you are. And you're not too loud. You're not too fashionable. You're not too much. And you can keep being big in the room. You can keep walking in and being that way. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Because if you keep going and you don't look behind you and you settle into that in a way that you actually feel good being just exactly who you are without worrying about anybody else but yourself. If you keep going and you keep doing it, you're going to make really big changes in this world. And because I grew up, I had a knowing. I knew that I was going to do something really big. But everything that happened around me and how I felt really was the opposite of what the feeling of doing something big would be. And I never felt like I belonged. I really didn't fully feel like I belonged until I was about 40 years old. And so all those women out there, I think every woman has that little piece of them that's like, is it okay for me to fully open up and be who I truly am and show up in this full power? Or am I going to be too big in the room? Am I going to be taking away somebody else's light and being the bigger one in the room? Is it okay to do that? And what if people don't like me? And what if I never find the right people? But what I'd love to say to younger Jessica is, if you keep doing this and you continue to just be who you are, that you will repel those that are not meant to be in your life. They will go away, and that's okay. And then what will flood in will blow your mind of the people out there. I don't have anyone in my life that is not in alignment with their purpose and who they are, and they really want the best for themselves and others. I don't have any drain in my life anymore, and I didn't know it was possible when I was younger.
I love that. I feel that. I'm getting teary-eyed. So yeah, thank you. I love that. That was beautiful. And I feel it.
Thank you. You,
Thank you.
Sharon, asked the best questions.
Oh.
And I know we just met, but thank you so much. Sharon came all the way to see me, like from Bird Key to, we're just a little bit east of 75 off Clark Road. And I just appreciate you so much for reaching out and coming here.
Thank you. I know you're a very busy woman, so I appreciate you making the time for this. And I appreciate being able to see all these beautiful clothes and this great studio that you've created. So thank you.
Thank you. It was my honor.
Perfect. We say peace out, Girl Scout.